Today, we're not just taking a tour of a school. Nope, we're going on a mission. We're putting on our detective hats to crack the code of one of the UK's top schools, Haberdashers Girls School, or as everyone calls it, Habs. So let's see what we can uncover, shall we? So what really makes a place like this tick? Is it just the history, the amazing results? It's got to be something deeper, right? A kind of unique code, a DNA that's embedded in its culture. And that is the central mystery we are here to solve. All right, here's our case file. We've got 5 key clues to follow. We're going to survey the scene, crack the unwritten rules, learn the local dialect, profile the final product, and then uncover the central tension that really gives this school its power. Let's get started. Okay, our first clue is the environment itself, the physical narrative. Because, the architecture of a school, the space, it tells a story. It really dictates how students feel and how they interact with each other. The very first thing that hits you about Habs is just the sheer scale of it all. We're talking 100 sprawling acres out in the Hertfordshire Greenbelt, which it shares with the boys' school right next door. Honestly, this isn't just a school, it feels like an entire world. The space itself just seems designed to give you room to breathe, and, more importantly, room to think. And this world has a very distinct feel. The source we're looking at describes it as a leafy embrace. Now, that's not just some poetic language. With a dedicated forest school and something called a wildwood den right on site, the campus itself is practically begging for exploration and a connection to nature. It's a space that breathes, giving students room to think, to grow, and, just be. Okay, let's move on to our next clue. Every great place has an unwritten agreement, right? A kind of social contract that defines its culture. So what are the real rules of engagement at Habs? Well, it seems to all come down to this one phrase, ambition with heart. And that right there captures a core tension. It's not just about achieving, it's about how you achieve. It's a signal that drive and empathy, they aren't mutually exclusive here. In fact, they're expected to go hand in hand. And this social contract is built on 4 pillars. You've got ambition, of course, but look how it's balanced by curiosity, that drive to learn, courage, the willingness to try new things and maybe even fail, and community, that understanding that you're part of something much bigger than yourself. So the big question is, how does this actually translate into everyday life? And this is a brilliant example of how those values become action. The school actively teaches the idea of being an active bystander. It's basically a direct instruction. Don't just succeed for yourself. You have to stand up for other people. This concept is a huge part of the unwritten social contract here. It's about building a kind, inclusive community, not just an academically successful one. Okay, every tribe has its own language, its own slang, and schools are absolutely no different. To really get the DNA of a place, you have to learn to speak the local dialect. So let's decode some of the tribal language of Habs. First up, graduates are not just alumni here. They are old girls. And it sounds like a term of endearment, because it is. It connects generations of women, creating this instant bond and a really powerful lifelong network. It signals this deep sense of belonging that goes way, way beyond graduation day. And hey, nothing says insider culture quite like a house system. But check out the difference here. The junior school has these playful animal names, aardvarks, seahorses. Then when you get to the senior school, they mature into names steeped in history and tradition. Harold, Millicent, Sprules, all named for historic benefactors. This evolution is part of the student journey, a shared experience that bonds everyone together. So, what happens when you combine this incredible, expansive environment, this unique social contract, and this special insider culture? What kind of person emerges from all of this? What is the archetype of a Habs graduate? According to its reputation, this is it. The profile that emerges is someone who isn't just academically brilliant, but grounded. Not just focused on one thing, but well-rounded. And maybe above all, fiercely independent. This is the goal, the person the school aims to build. But where's the proof? Well, the evidence is in the output. Just look at this list. It's not one type of success story. You have Florence Bell, whose scientific work was actually critical to discovering the structure of DNA itself. Then you've got Linda Bennett, an entrepreneur who built a global fashion empire. You have Tallulah Riley, a successful actress and writer, and Vanessa Feltz, a total powerhouse in the media. This diversity, that's the key. It shows the school isn't a factory for one type of leader, but an incubator for independent talent across pretty much every field imaginable. And that brings us to our final and maybe our most revealing clue. The most interesting places are rarely one-dimensional, right? They're defined by what we'll call a productive tension. Competing values that, instead of clashing, somehow create a unique and powerful identity. Just look at the contrast here. On one hand, you have these deep 17th century roots tied to one of London's ancient livery companies. So much tradition. But on the other hand, you walk into a state-of-the-art STEM building with labs for AI and robotics. This is not a school that's stuck in the past. It's one that uses its incredible heritage as a foundation to leap into the future. And here's the other great tension, this best of both worlds model. The students get the focus and the tailored environment of a single-sex education, which is really designed to build confidence. But they live a co-ed life. They share that huge campus, the buses, drama productions, and by the time they get to sixth form, they're even in co-ed classes. So they get the academic focus without the social isolation, preparing them for the reality of a collaborative co-ed world. So, we've examined the campus, the culture, the language, the archetype, and those all-important tensions. We have collected all the evidence. Now it's time to put it all together, synthesize the clues, and reveal the DNA of Haberdashers Girls School. So here it is. This is the code we've cracked. The DNA is a really unique sequence, an expansive environment that fosters curiosity, an ethos of ambition with heart, an identity that perfectly balances heritage with innovation, a model that merges single-sex focus with co-ed reality, and ultimately an outcome of well-rounded, independent leaders. It's a complex, powerful, and very, very deliberate formula. Which leaves us with this one final thought. Habs really seems to have found an answer to one of the biggest questions in education. How do you honor deep, important traditions while at the same time relentlessly preparing students for a future that doesn't even exist yet? It's that constant, productive tension that seems to be the school's true secret.